A little known program can help Section 8 tenants purchase a property using their Section 8 vouchers. But will this program actually help these people get out of poverty, or will it just be another government program that sucks money out of the taxpayers? I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting topic for you today, and it has to do with how people are using Section 8 program basically to purchase homes. Okay, I've actually covered this before because I talked about a tenant in a different video that I did who was using this program in order to become a homeowner, and how I thought it was awful. I think it's an awful idea. I think that it will create government dependence. It pushes us more towards a system of socialism, discourages those people who want to work hard and actually be able to afford a home through their own merits. And you know what? It's awful. It's absolutely awful. Okay, talk about a waste of taxpayer money. Now, in my mind, the Section 8 program is created so that people who have fallen on hard times are able to get back up on their feet, and then, this is what it should be. I'm sorry, I should say it like that. It should be so that people who have fallen on hard times are able to get up on their feet and then get the ball rolling again so that they can support themselves. Okay, that might be because of, loss of a job or injury or illness, or in the case of people who are disabled and unable to work, it might provide them with something, or elderly and, impoverished, it might provide them with something, right? But aside from the groups where, you have a more permanent situation like being elderly or disabled, it should only be a step, to give you a push into the right direction. It should not be something that you are dependent upon for the rest of your life. And that's the problem with this whole thing here, okay? Because you're encouraging people to remain in poverty. Because how else is the government going to buy a house for you? Okay? This is ridiculous. It's like they don't even realize the unintended consequences of these sort of programs. And this sort of program will encourage people to stay poor so that the government will buy their house for them. It will also encourage people who might be on the lower end of the economic scale to basically lower themselves down so that they can get these benefits as well. It will push people away too who are paying the taxes. The people who get no benefit whatsoever, such as myself, we get frustrated. We get mad because we see, hey, I had to work my butt off in order to afford my house, and now they're taking my money and then giving it to that person over there and giving them a house for free. Okay? And I know what they're going to say. Oh, no, the tenant still has to pay a percentage of their income towards the home ownership. Yeah, well, essentially you're getting it for free because you couldn't have been able to afford it otherwise, and without the government intervening and basically doing all this stuff for you, you would have never owned a home. So, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I talk a lot about waste and abuse by the government. This program is destined to be abused. It is, a prime example of government waste. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So what do you think of a program where the government buys people's houses for them? And I'm not talking about, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, the government already subsidized living for, by pushing out FHA loans, etc., right? And that is true, okay? However, you still have to meet all of the income requirements, the credit requirements. You have to pay the entire house payment yourself. And if you don't meet those requirements and you're unable to make that house payment, you cannot have the house. But somehow they think that these people who have no income or anything that would ever make them even close to being able to afford a home, they think it's a good idea for them to own a house. I think it's awful. And what we'll see is that because these people have super low incomes, they oftentimes won't be able to do the maintenance and the repairs on the house. So yeah, you might be able to get up in a house because the government's making the payments for you, but there's a reason why a lot of these people rent, because they can't afford the maintenance and the repairs. They need a landlord or someone else to be able to step in and say, oh, the roof is bad, maybe we should replace the roof, or hey, the plumbing is bad and we need a repairman to come in here. And so now you're putting all of that onto them. And yeah, a lot of them aren't going to be able to do it. Okay. The other thing is, when they go to sell that home, they're going to get a large cash payout. And that's part of my problem right there. Why are we giving these people, giving someone a housing is one thing, but giving them free money is something completely different. So you're going to tell them, okay, even if it's a cheap home, let's say it is a cheap home in a Midwestern place, such as where I live, Omaha, Nebraska, and the house is, not in the best neighborhood, it's 150 grand. Okay. The government buys the house for you, and then 20 years from now, you turn around, sell the place, and not only did you have a place to live that was highly subsidized for the last 20 years, but now you get to carry a check wherever you go for 100 or 150 grand. So yeah, to me, that doesn't make any sense. Just giving them money for no reason? No, absolutely not. Okay, anyway, let me get into this article. It talks about this whole program and kind of clarifies what the rules are and what they're looking for. This article is coming from Business Insider, and it says, Section 8 Home Ownership Eligibility Requirements. So, yeah, it's not an article that, talks about opinions one way or the other, but it was very frustrating for me reading it. So let's get into it. If you're a Section 8 participant, you may be able to use your rental assistance voucher to become a homeowner and start building equity. The Housing Choice Voucher Program, commonly known as Section 8, pays a portion of participants' rent each month. This program, overseen by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, helps low-income renters, elderly people, and those with disabilities afford rental housing. But participants aren't necessarily limited to being renters. Some Section 8 programs also allow them to use their vouchers to pay a mortgage. If you're interested in participating, here's everything you need to know about eligibility for the Section 8 home ownership program. And when they get into the eligibility, I can just go through this eligibility and be like, yeah, well, what you are listing as, what qualifies someone to be eligible is the exact reason why these people should not be homeowners and would probably be better as renters. So let me get into it. Section 8 home ownership program eligibility requirements. HUD has some basic requirements for the Section 8 program, and the public housing agencies that offer it often have their own additional rules. To qualify, you'll need to meet these Section 8 home ownership credit requirements. So income limits, okay? The Section 8 program is designed for working Americans with low incomes. The majority of Section 8 homeowners make 30% or less than the area median income. There are also maximum Section 8 home ownership income requirements, which we'll go into later. So you have to qualify for Section 8, and the majority of the people on Section 8 make 30% or less of the area median income. So let's say that the area median income here in Omaha, Nebraska is 60 grand a year, okay? So in order to qualify, you got to make a third of that. So that would be what, like 20 grand a year? Keep in mind, right? And this is something that I'm going to harp on, okay? When you own a house, the only expense is not the mortgage and the insurance and taxes, right? Which is usually, all thrown together in an escrow account. No, that's not the only expense. There are so many additional expenses, like just owning a home, your utility bill is going to be a lot higher than living in an apartment. Okay, you're going to have maintenance issues, lots of maintenance issues. I don't even think about them much anymore, but, when you say, okay, I have to go out there and mow the grass every week. So you're going to have a lawnmower, at least, at minimum. I would say you probably need a weed whacker to do all the edging as well, okay? and you need fuel for that lawnmower, and you're going to have to go out there once a week and spend an hour, at least an hour, depending on the size of your yard, cutting it up and doing that, right? And that's time and money involved. But that's not all. You're talking about, hey, okay, your house, it just gets old as time goes by. The longer you're in it, the more stuff is going to break. Like, hey, the hot water heater went out. That could be several $100s, even if you're replacing it yourself, if you're a handyman and you're doing it. And keep in mind that a lot of people who are on Section 8 aren't going to be able to do the work themselves. So they're going to be paying $1,000 because you're going to pay for the cost of the product as well as the labor. Okay. The roofs go, out. Maybe you had a storm and, your insurance isn't going to cover 100% of the cost of a new roof for your house. You're going to have to pay that deductible. So how are you going to afford that deductible? Remember, you're only making 20 grand a year. You still need to pay for food. You still need to pay for transportation every day, But anyway, I'm just saying that basically these people are so low income that I don't personally think it would be a good idea for them to own housing, because they wouldn't be able to maintain the house and cover major capital expenditures. Okay? Anyway, let me continue. First-time home buyer. You must be a first-time home buyer according to HUD's definition, meaning you can't have owned a home in the last 3 years. That won't be a problem because most people on Section 8, if they could have owned a home, they would have, okay? Employment status. Finally, unless you're elderly or have a disability, you'll need to be gainfully employed. We'll go more into this below. So you have to have a job, okay? That's one of the factors on this. You cannot be somebody who is on Section 8 without a job, but then notice that they made exceptions for the elderly or the disabled. So disability has basically become the new welfare. You have a lot of people who are not that old, 20s, 30s, and 40s, who are on disability. They get that disability check. They're not working. So now you've made an exception for, let's say you have a person here and they're in their 20s. They're on disability for whatever reason, okay? And they're receiving Section 8. This person doesn't have any actual full-time job, and you're buying this person a house. Seems kind of unfair, okay? And keep in mind that I believe in fairness. I believe that we should benefit from working hard. Even the lowest income of us, even those of us who, we might have a low-end job that doesn't pay very well, but rather than encouraging people to get on government benefits and never improve themselves, we should be encouraging them to work hard. We should be encouraging them to make something for themselves, to grow and improve and become better. And this sort of program, it does the exact opposite of that, okay? So the article, it's pretty long. It has a lot of details about this program. I'm not trying to motivate people to go sign up for the program if you think that's what this video is about. It's not, okay? This video is about me hating on garbage, socialist nonsense such as this program right here.